welcome back to our show. I'm Ben Brash, and alongside Scot Appert, a very good friend of Brashonomics, who is a healthy ecological builder with over 25 years of experience. Well, Scott, first of all, welcome back. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, yeah.
You know, you must, when you start thinking about the holidays, and I want to get into, how safe are different things in this game between how safe is your car, sleeping areas, home, office. But I also want to ask you the question how safe is wrapping paper?
What?
I mean, how safe are some of the things that we're ripping apart? So I'm thinking like the glittery stuff. I mean, there seems like wrapping paper wouldn't be very healthy.
Well,
certainly if you're burning it.
Well, exactly what I was
thinking. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, because it's all very plasticky. Most of it's very shiny and plasticky. Yeah. So the more plastic in it, the less healthy it is. I haven't really smelled it, I mean, a lot of times the things that aren't healthy will have a smell to them.
Okay.
But not necessarily. That's not the foolproof way.
I threw a curveball at you, but,
Well, I agree with Heather, because that's the first thing I thought of, because, we always throw,
ball
it up and throw them at people, and then we just burn them. Mm-hmm. But that's horrible for the environment.
The general rule of thumb in our household is we separate all the recycling into two piles. So it's regular wrapping paper, no shine, no glitter, that goes in one. But all the rest of it goes into a different one, because you can't even recycle the stuff that has the
But how many
sheen
people
and the
do?
Glitter. Probably not a lot. We're a little anal about. We're a little crazy about the recycling.
That's good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. We're proud of you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for
Go
all of us to think
Dad.
about.
Yeah, all right.
Or we just burn all our garbage, right?
There.
It makes a pretty bonfire in the back.
Yeah, well, especially if you're burning the wrapping paper, right?
Yeah,
it's
all
like
the colors flying,
there's fireworks going off.
And the ribbon,
And the ribbon.
Yeah.
I guess
they just melt.
They just melt. It's that nasty fumes. I mean, that's the bad stuff. Well, before you came on the air, you were actually talking about how new cars actually have some of the same chemicals that are going through them as maybe some of these burning plastics.
Yeah.
And you called it the actual new car smell.
Yeah, there is a new car smell.
Which everybody loves.
Yeah, no.
No? Okay, I do.
Sorry. But, I mean, it's great that it smells new, but like the molded plastics that go in, and then the electronics all have that off-gassing, VOCs. And I was just, a friend called me and asked if they were thinking about buying an electric car, and they wanted to do some testing in it. They wanted to make sure it was healthy. And so we went out and tested it, and it was had some magnetic fields that were higher than what I would feel would be comfortable. And maybe on the unsafe level. It wasn't like off the charts horrible where you're going to die, right away. But the new car smell, to me, I actually got sick riding it. Just that gave me a headache. But I can't define what it is. But all those when electronics, especially new electronics, are activated, there's heat that's generated, and there's always off gassing from all that stuff.
And this is a car. It was what kind of car was it?
It was a Leaf.
A Nissan Leaf, which is supposed to be a very green car.
Yeah.
But there's a lot
of elements to green.
Right. And you were saying, between the magnetics within the battery, the new car smell, and the off gas. I mean, it's amazing to think that, as a consumer, you may think you're buying something that's good for you, good for the environment. Mm-hmm. But when it really comes down to it, there's not maybe the advantages one may have been marketed it to.
Well, I think that's what I kind of want to focus on today, was just being aware. The friends that were thinking about buying it, I kept asking them, how do you feel? Because I started feeling, now it's just me personally, but I started feeling a little sick and got headache, and maybe I'm just sensitive. Mm-hmm. And some people are more sensitive.
Pretty sensitive, Scott.
I know,
You're
very
sensitive,
but some people are more sensitive to chemicals or electronics. So I got out of there, after 15 minutes, and I just didn't feel well.
Really?
Yeah. Like I wanted to, get out of the car.
He could have been a bad driver, right? I mean, we were talking
fine,
about getting your car sick. There's one of those hitting the gas, hitting the brakes, hitting the gas, hitting the brakes type driver. We're with Scot Appert with BioHealthy Homes. Scott, so a car can be something that maybe isn't as safe as one may hope. What are some other areas that people should be aware of?
Well, we'll go on to that, but actually I wanted to finish with the cars. And part of what was going on in the car was it had this beautiful navigation system that was on all the time. And what is being put off is the radio frequency, high-frequency radio waves coming off of and we tried to turn it off. Now, it was a brand new car, so we couldn't look into the manual because it was all sealed. And I'm sure there probably is a way of turning it off, but the things like Bluetooth and navigation systems in your car actually put out a lot of high-frequency radio waves, and the cars being metal surroundings, it just creates this, this box where all these radio waves, and it was extremely high. I mean, definitely you wouldn't want to be traveling in it. Navigation systems are great, but not to leave them on 24/7. And the Bluetooth, I've tested cars also with that because, this person that asked me to test it didn't feel well in their car. They, commuted, and the readings were extremely high. We just turned it off, and then she started using just the regular old earbuds, for talking on the phone, and she felt a lot better. So those are the things you just got to be aware of, like navigation, which is great, but you don't need to leave it on all the time, especially, if you're commuting with kids in your car. So there's always those elements you just need to be aware of. Modern electronics are great and they're convenient, but there are different sides to them you got to be aware of.
Well, and a lot of people, who listen to the radio, listen in their car. It's 4 o'clock, 4:15, whatever in the afternoon. And a lot of people are in their cars. They have their AM radio on. They have their navigation on. They're probably chatting on their phone. Half of them are probably texting. Their kid is probably playing with an iPad. The other kids have a TV on in the back, the back of the headrest. And of course, you have an engine running. You have an alternator. I mean, you have all of these different things going on. A car is it's almost a huge computer system. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that with the off-put that you talk about from electricity itself, and just knowing as little as I do about sitting under a telephone, the wires, that a car probably is in more ways than one, a pretty tough place on your body.
Can be, yeah. I have inspected a few different brands, like SUVs and stuff, and I was amazed the difference between the vehicles. Some, like where the car seat was in the back, had extremely high magnetic fields, and in the different vehicle there weren't. So,
which were the good ones?
I can't remember.
No comment.
Not to push brands, but I'm just saying you got to be aware, and without doing really actual tests, you don't know.
Mm-hmm. And I would also think that if you're a commuter, this is probably something that's more important than if you're not.
Yeah.
If you're spending an hour and a half, however, and people drive a long way to and from work.
Yeah.
And
especially with the traffic situation.
Yeah. A little snow, you never know around here. A little rain, weird weather alerts that pop up and make your sound go. Did you get that thing?
No.
I'll tell you anyways. That's a whole other story. But the more time you're in your car, I guess the more conscious you really do need to be about what's going on in it. How many people are? Nobody thinks about this stuff. I don't think.
Very few.
Your buddy with the Nissan Leaf.
Yeah. Well, and then so what we're going to do is we're going to test the current car that they drive, that she drives, just to see the difference, and see see whether the ratings because there's a lot of incentives to buy, and they're concerned about the environment and all that, but whether it makes sense health-wise. So we're going to test her current vehicle and see what the difference is.
And personal health. Really, not the health of the all-encompassing environment, which is important, but good old number one.
Yeah.
That's it is. It's amazing how many things you think you're going to be really positive that maybe have so many side effects, and it's so hard. It's so hard to distinguish between the positives and negatives, and then be able to put that on some type of pros cons list. It's something like when you're buying a car, you're thinking, well, gas mileage, and will it fit the dog in the back, and can I get to the mountains, right, or whatever it is. You're typically not thinking, what is what's the electrical interference in my body.
Yeah.
Well, in technology, it changes and it develops so quickly that the car and what you're driving constantly changes. Your environment constantly changes, and there's almost no time for anybody to catch up and realize how it's affecting them personally. I would think. So.
Yeah. Well, Scott, thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. You are listening to Brashonomics. We'll be right back.